Hello and welcome to another live conversation. If you're a returning viewer, listener, subscriber, welcome back, welcome back. If you're new to this space, welcome, welcome, welcome. Voices in Education is a safe space where we share and learn from each other. We do that in a respectful way to ensure that we're maintaining our safe community, the safe space where you feel valued and a sense of belonging. All right. So we do not bash anyone. We do not belittle anyone. And for sure, we do not, disrespect anyone. All right. So for this conversation, all right, we're going to talk about Rhoda's truth and trying to analyze the full interview. And as you can see, we have interview there in quotation marks for a reason. And I guess we'll get into that with Cliff Hughes on Nationwide. And before we get into this conversation, I am joined by Rurian. Hello, Rurian. How are you doing?
Hello, Natasha. Hope you're hearing me well.
Yes, I am hearing you.
Awesome. Hello to everyone who has joined us on this platform. Welcome. And we look forward to hearing from you. So thank you for that warm welcome, Natasha. I'm going to pass back over you for you to, continue working on that excellent introduction to this conversation.
Well, I really don't have much to say, much more to say, other than us going to that interview because what we're going to do, Rurian, you and I, we're going to just play and then I guess I'll come over to you. We talk about, what's happening. But the first thing I guess I would perhaps we should just go there and then we'll get the conversation going since we're doing, this analysis. And so again, welcome, welcome. If you're just tuning in, welcome, welcome. So by now, you perhaps, know that Rhoda, pretty much, denied, some rumors that are going around regarding, I guess, her personal life. And so we're here to talk about that conversation that was had between Rhoda and clip views, and I guess the persons who were online at that time listening in. All right, so we're going to go there. Ruren, are you ready?
Yes, go ahead.
All right, so we're going to go to this interview, and it's about 38 minutes. So we're going to do it in parts and, talk and then go back. All right, so let me just go there. Just give me a moment here. We're still here and just wanting to get where we need to be. And perhaps I did this. Did I do it properly? Looks that way. All right. So let's go. Let's go to this interview.
I gather we have with us the Member of Parliament for Central Manchester, the JLP's Rhoda Crawford on the line. Good morning, Rhoda. Good morning, Madam MP.
Hello, good morning.
Good
Good
mo-
morning to your listeners, your YouTubers. Are you hearing me well?
We're hearing you very well.
All right. I
What's
am
happening with
driving.
you?
I just want 1 second to pull over. Don't want to create any accidents.
Very well.
Yes.
Yeah. What's happening with you, Miss Rhoda?
Cliff, it's a long time I've been in these spaces.
You
Well,
haven't
I've
come.
been
You haven't been
working.
here for a long time.
That is true. I've been working non-stop. A lot of work being done in the constituency in terms of political organization. Of course, I'm not going to be sharing some of those details. I don't want the opponents to be listening in. But before I get
But
into the real
hold on there,
issue,
Miss Rhoda. Then give you a backsiding on February though.
so all right, so Cliff, well, one of the first things that I think I want persons to understand, though,
Yes.
a lot of persons are saying that, I've lost the council division. And they are of the
You
opinion
lost
that I
every
went
division,
into,
didn't you?
yes,
You lost
but
every division.
in principle, but Cliff,
Uh huh.
you can't lose what you didn't have. So I
Oh.
didn't have those divisions. What I was seeking to do is to gain them.
Uh-huh.
So we didn't have the Belfield division. We didn't have the Royal Flat division. We didn't have the Mandeville division. When I started off, we held the Knockpatrick division, but the councillor died a year plus into my service as Member of Parliament. And then, according to the laws, a lot of persons are not aware, when a councillor dies, until an election is held, then it is the mayor who has the authority over the spending of the resources and that sort of thing. So I don't need to say more. But a defeat is a defeat.
Yeah.
When we take heart because we have looked at the numbers that the PNP was able to take out versus the numbers that we have been able to take out. So what we realize is that in the case of all the divisions, we fell below the targets. But the numbers that the PNP was able to win by in all of the divisions, it fell below the target that we could have reasonably brought out. So we have been moving around the ground. We've been asking the questions, what happened, why the labor rights did not come out. Because if the labor rights did come out, we would have been able to carry home all those 4 seats. As much as it would have been a difficult task, because even in 2016, when the JLP won many seats across the island, in Manchester Central, we didn't win Mandeville, Royal Flat, and Belfield. And I mean, if you look at the numbers generally, in the general election, even when Peter Bunting was winning and John Jr. was winning, you would realize that at the general level, they would win the Belfield division, but win it by such a big margin. And then they lose all the other 3 to the JLP. So I've been noticing a flip, like at the general election level, the JLP wins 3 of the 4 divisions, and whenever there's a local government election, there would be a flip. But I'm still not.
All right, Ruren, so I'm just coming over to you. And in the context of, so far how this conversation, started. And so what we gather is that, there was, I guess, in the context of this conversation that Rhoda was going to call in, right? So let me just come over to you to hear your take on this conversation so far.
Yes, Natasha, Cliff put her on the spot there as it relates to her, her seat and what was happening in the local government election, and she, explained exactly what was happening in terms of the background of the seat and where they normally go, and she pointed out clear categorically that she did not lose any of those because she did not have them, but in this first part here, she's alluding to, the mayor as well. And, based on how she expressed herself, the mayor is not necessarily seen eye to eye with her. And, they're not sharing the same visions as it relates to, service to the people. So it's not very blatant, but it can be, you can definitely get that from what she's saying. But also she's saying that she has been working, and that is one of the hallmarks of her leadership. So that's what I'm getting from the interview so far. Back over to you.
Yeah, totally agree. And, Cliff was, as you mentioned, they're, saying you guys got a political whopping. And as you clearly pointed out, she was pretty much addressing that. And if you follow along with the politics, for sure, you can agree with Rhoda that Belfield is really, a PMP stronghold in that sense. And so, all right, we understand that. And so, in the context of some of the things that we have been hearing, I guess we can put to rest somewhat that this conversation started out how it ended, or, perhaps where it reached, in the sense that she started to address, our personal life and rumors going around. So, we are not yet there. So, this conversation did not start that way. All right, let's go back to the clip here.
Taking comfort in that. We're looking at the numbers. We are doing what we need to do. And, already, Cliff, we're just a few months since the election. And I challenge you to come on the ground. When you move about the communities, a lot of constituents are already expressing regret. They're really sorry that they didn't go out. A lot of them are saying that, they never,
But why
they
didn't
don't
they
feel
go out? Why didn't they go out?
a lot of them, what I'm picking up, labor rights supporters, for example, they are saying that usually if they see it as a little election, they don't, and the same way I've pronounced it, they say it's a little election, it is not a big election, so
Uh-huh.
they didn't see the seriousness of it, but they're saying they're not going to sit down and allow this to happen in the general election, and worse so, I mean, even PNP supporters are already disgruntled with the level of leadership and service. They're already complaining about neglect, garbage collection, which is a parish council issue. A lot of the parish council roads are tired to be repaired. Street lighting, the people are complaining a lot. They're saying that they rarely see these representatives on the ground since that defeat. But we're not going to dwell on that, Cliff. We're going to do what we need to do, because I know for a fact that Manchester Central will return to the Jamaica Labour Party when the general election is called.
All right, Ruren. So Rhoda there pretty much saying, Manchester Central will return to the JLP when the local government election is called. And I guess she continued on that, initial start in terms of just extending that, she's working there. And I want to come over to you to get your take before I ask you a question. So let me hear what you have to share, on this part of the conversation.
Yeah, the highlight of this aspect of the conversation for me was how confident she was in saying that, Central Manchester will return to the JLP in the next general election. That was underscored by the fact that she was liaison and, having some good conversation with people in the community. And it's not only the people who are supporting the Jamaican Labour Party. She's talking to everyone, it seems, based on how she expressed herself. And she touched on the problem that's normally there, where persons tend to shy away from local government election and pay more attention to the general election as well. But one thing for sure that came out is that she's in touch with the people, and based on her interactions, she's confident that she will continue on as Member of Parliament for the Manchester Central Division. Back over to you.
Well, the Manchester Central constituency there. So you touched on what I was really going to ask you in the context of, the election. So local government election, as she was sharing, that the people, they refer to it as just a little election. So it wasn't so much of a consideration in terms of the importance. However, what she's saying is that, the general elections, more importance, is placed on that. And so she's expecting, Manchester Central to return to the JLP. So this question is kind of like a two-part question. So first, do you share that view based on your experience, that, Jamaicans, they tend to disregard, local government elections, parish council elections, and also Rhoda's performance? We now know that, Peter Bunting is not going back to Manchester Central, what I believe Manchester South. And so would like to know if that's an indicator of the amount of work that Rhoda has done in that seat and kind of cementing her confidence in the fact that, the JLP, Manchester Central will return to the JLP. Let me hear from you.
Um, Quite an interesting question. Let me deal with the first aspect of it. Last election, the voter turnout was just under 30%. And that says a lot about the importance that Jamaicans place on it. And, it's hard to broad brush everyone, saying that Jamaicans, but there are some Jamaicans who will not, that's not where their interest is, and they're more focused on the national or the general election. So, it has always been like that. History has shown that. So, that's definitely something that is true. And as it relates to Peter Bunting moving to South Manchester, I think that Rhoda has had a good hold on Central Manchester, and that could be a way for him to go to a place where it's a PNP stronghold as South Manchester is, just to get him back into the Parliament rather than him succumbing to a second straight defeat to Rhoda in Central Manchester there. So yes, I would say that Rhoda has a stronghold there in Manchester Central. Back over to you.
All right, wonderful. Thanks for sharing, Slick Star. David, welcome. Guys, please remember to hit the like button, share button, and subscription button, and turn on your post notification. Max, welcome as well. I can see you all there in the chat. So let's continue with this conversation.
But that's not what I've called about.
All right, ma'am.
I want to get to
What's
the issue
happening
that I've
now?
called about.
What's happening now?
All right, I don't know how many persons have been following the issue with the flooding on Ward Avenue. Now, long before I became a member of parliament, there was chronic, consistent flooding whenever the heavy rains fell. And so at the time when I became member of parliament, the NWA had already started some major works on the drainage system to correct the issue. When I spoke to the local management team in Mandeville to find out from them where they were and what was the hold-up for completion, they told me that they needed additional funding. They didn't have enough funding. They were about 60 to 70% complete. So at the time, Minister Warmington was the Minister of Works. I spoke to Minister Warmington about it. It was around the same time when we were looking to implement the Mandeville traffic management system, as well as to do some major repairs along 3 corridors. So he came, he agreed, Minister Warmington came, we did a full tour with the NWA team and some of the councillors. And long story short, we got almost another 30 million, a total cost of 60 million to, do the desilting, construct the drain and that sort of thing along the Ward Avenue. But I must point out, in case I forget, that the Ward Avenue, it's a municipal corporation roadway. So Upper Fat is really the municipal corporation that, should have seen to that. But as member of parliament, I have taken a position that even some responsibilities that fall under the jurisdiction of the municipal corporation and the councillors, I step in. Because at the end of the day, when you sit back and it's not been done, it's the people who suffers. So I jumped on this. The issue was resolved, the drainage.
All right, Ruren. So we have heard another aspect of this conversation, and my question to you, and I'm just going to throw that out there. What was the purpose of Rhoda calling Cliff, or the purpose of Rhoda's segment on Cliff Hughes program? So I'm just going to throw that to you now, Ruren. What was the purpose? Because I feel that the conversation so far, is not necessarily the full context in terms of the reason. What was the purpose of this conversation?
I'm not too sure what the purpose is, but based on what she has been saying and the questions that Cliff, has asked so far, it's so focused around what is happening in her constituency, where does she stand, and just to give an update, I would say, of what is happening in Central, in Manchester Central.
All right,
So
all right,
yes.
Ruren. Perhaps you missed that part, but she's after talking about the elections, right? And I guess the seat and Belfield division and the fact that she's working and JLP is going to come back. Sorry, Central Manchester is going to go back to the JLP. She was like, let me get to the purpose of this. The real reason why I'm calling, is to talk about what is happening on Ward Avenue. I don't know if you recall that part. But you
Okay, okay.
can tell us about Ward Avenue, Ruren. And so what she's saying is that, if you are familiar with the area, and I'm going to give it back to you because you are, in terms of what happens in terms of flooding, there were issues there. She's mentioning that that road or wherever the section of that road, it's a municipal road. But, because the people are suffering, she decided and she made reference to some other things too that perhaps are under the jurisdiction of the parish council that she from time to time will step in to ensure that she does whatever is necessary to ease that suffering because she does not want the people to suffer. So Ward Avenue really, based on what I am hearing here, is really the purpose, the main reason for Rhoda to be talking to Cliff was because of what was happening, on Ward Avenue. So right now she's saying, I jumped in as a member of parliament in terms of, trying to get this sorted. So perhaps Rurian, you can just give us a little, context of Ward Avenue based on what you know. It's more than experience. It's like your knowledge here. So let me just pass that over to you for you to share about Ward Avenue before we move on.
Yes, not necessarily. Ward Avenue is one of those roads in Mandeville that tends to flood a lot. It has quite a few business places on it, and they have been experiencing, flooding whenever it rains. And if you're familiar with Mandeville any at all, you'll know that Mandeville has lots of rain falling. When it falls for hours, and that has caused lots of damage and loss for business places, business establishments there. So what is happening, I think, is that Rhoda is trying to alleviate some of those issues, to make, the business community happy and the community members in general. So I think that was one of the reasons why she decided that she wanted to have some input as it relates to that drain being sorted out.
Wonderful. And I guess in the context of that and what you shared there, Ruren, and what Rhoda was sharing there with Cliff, it's timely given that we're in the hurricane season, right? And so I guess with the expectation of heavy rainfall, Rhoda is here to talk about Ward Avenue. Welcome, welcome. Please remember to hit the like button, share button, and subscription button. All right, and let us continue with this conversation. So let's go back here.
The system was fixed. As a matter of fact, we had heavy rains since it was completed. We did not have any incident of flooding. Now, in recent months, we have had heavy rainfall. The first set of it in November, we had heavy rainfall. There was major flooding. So I reached out to the NWA to find out from them what is happening. I mean, the drainage system was working very well. We didn't have this issue. What's causing this? And they did some initial checks. We went out there. I went out there with them with the fire brigade and different technical teams. And they opened up some sections to look into the drain to see if there were silts that needed to be cleared. And long story short, Cliff, it was realized that what's causing this major flooding and major block-up in the drain, a private citizen whose property a section of the drain runs through, he has blocked the drain by creating a concrete wall. And so the water is not able to flow through the channel that was created. So it's now backing up on Ward Avenue. When I made additional checks,
All right, Ruren. So back here again. So based on what Rhoda is sharing, she jumped in. They kind of fixed the problem, had every rainfall. Ward Avenue was okay. I believe she mentioned last November. I'm not too sure when, but, rainfall again, flooding. And she's now of the view based on, going back to the NWA and doing some checks that a citizen, blocked that part of the drain with, I guess a wall fence or something like that. So just coming over to you to get a sense of, what you're gathering so far from this part of the conversation.
Yeah, it's what I'm getting is that Rhoda has, made mention. Rhoda has found, she decided that here what, we spent this money, we invested this money on this drain, and she's doing her due diligence to ensure that yes, the drain is working and the citizens are doing well and the business community at large. You know what happened? They had some rains there in Mandeville. The drainage was put to the test, and it worked well. But I am thinking that, business persons, residents have reached out to her after that, saying that, we are flooding or, the flooding has returned. So, in good leadership, I think she decided, all right, we are going to check, I'm asking the National Work Agency to check to see what is causing, something that was working effectively to, come to that halt. So if you listen carefully to what she said, she was there with the teams that went out to do the investigations, and they found out that a wall was erected where the drain apparently has passed through someone's private property, and that was the cause of it. So I like the fact that she has done something good for the town of Mandeville, and she's doing the due diligence to ensure that whatever was done, whatever monies that were invested, that the people are benefiting from it 100%. Sadly, what she has invested in is not working effectively no, because of something that a particular resident has done, and that's pretty much where this is right now, and I guess that's where she is going to focus her attention to see if this can be remedied so that the smooth flow of water can be taken off the roads and out of the businesses of people who are living or business places on or about Ward Avenue.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I also believe too that I guess a part of, in terms of Rhoda coming here to talk about it is to say, this is not my fault. I've done what I should have done, even though it was not really under my portfolio. So I feel like a part of this too is to let the members of the constituency know exactly what is happening from her perspective. All right, so we'll see if this plays out. So let us just continue to listen here.
Text and additional talks. I am being told that there are some outstanding issues between the property owner and the municipal corporation. I'm looking at a report now I could send to your newsroom in November when the Jamaica Observer reporter spoke to both myself and Mayor Mitchell about the situation. And I'm seeing here where from November, we're now December, January, February, March, April, May, June. 7 months later, the issue is unresolved. And I saw where the mayor of Mandeville made a commitment that he was going to he admitted to the blockage, and he said that he would call on his legal team to get some advice as to how to go about it. I haven't heard anything else. I don't know if he has been having any private meetings with the property owner and his legal team, but I'm calling on the mayor to come and give us an update on what is happening and to move swiftly for the resolution, because after I lobbied as Member of Parliament to get the funds and the repairs were done, the drain was working fine, and I see where I am being accused of not having had seen to the work being properly done, and the NWA is getting.
I gather we have
Commitment that he was going to have. He admitted to the blockage.
All right, Ruben, let me just come over to you. I kind of messed that up, but I'll try to find back where we stopped. So here, as I kind of suggested just now, Rhoda is pretty much sharing a little bit more in the context of that private citizen. And now she brings the Mayor Mitchell, into this conversation. Let me hear from you.
Yes, necessarily. It's kind of ironic, I would say, that the citizen and the blockage of the drain. They had issue with the citizen, and the drain was blocked. Well, with the wall that was erected. So it shows that something is amiss there, and something needs to be sorted out with the resident. I believe. I'm not sure what is happening as it relates to the mayor, and it would be really good if the mayor could come forward and share things from his perspective on this matter. Because, yeah, in essence, if this is going to benefit the citizens of, in and around Mandeville, then it's kind of sad that one citizen or so decided that they are going to, put everybody else in a position of, discomfort. So, I think that what should happen is that person, they need to have dialogue with that person. And it would also be good to hear from that person, to hear their perspective on what happened. The fact that the drain was, constructed through that person's property, it must be a case that there was some sort of agreement made saying that, we're going to do this, and if you agree with that, then that, they must have had some sort of agreement. So obviously something went down, as it relates to the conversation or the arrangement with this resident. And it would be good if the mayor could share, you know, what is happening in that regard. If he has any, information as relates to what is happening with the residents and what has happened as it relates to the construction of the wall in such a way that it is, blocking the drainage. So there must have been some falling away as it relates to the conversations and the agreement and arrangement with that resident. So, as I said, it would be good to hear from all parties involved.
So
One,
Ruren, I guess at the end, you will hear, I guess, Cliff saying that Mayor Mitchell will be coming on to share. And so a part of what Rhoda was also sharing was that based on what she, I guess, understands, is that the mayor was going to meet with the legal team and I guess to decide how they move forward. So what she was pretty much doing, as you are kind of asking, is asking the mayor to come forward to let the citizens and I guess persons within the constituency know what is happening at this point. So hopefully
yes,
you
for
agree
sure.
with that.
Yes, for
Okay.
sure. I agree with that
All right.
100%.
Let us see if I can catch back where we
Mhm.
That
kind
is
of
when I
stopped.
reached out to the NWA to find out what is happening, and that is when we went out with a team of technocrats.
All right. We passed there.
Any blame at my feet because I have done what I am supposed to do, and I want him now to do what he's supposed to do.
Ah, I can understand that because the social media bloggers from your side too, Rhoda, and the other side, they are not afraid to lie.
And Cliff,
They lie
that is
with such
something.
ease.
Well, Cliff, that is one thing I condemn, and I condemn wholeheartedly, whether it's been done by JLP bloggers or PNP bloggers. I mean, we should be focusing on real issues. Talk about the issues. You can support and defend those who you support without lying, without smearing, without attacking. I
Hmm.
mean, Cliff, I would want a whole platform to come and share some of the attacks that I have had to endure and that I have been enduring.
I
I
see
mean,
that.
I wake up.
All right, so we're getting into, I guess, the meat of the matter at some point here. And so here, the conversation kind of take a little bit of turn, I would say. And so it has shifted now to social media because what Rhoda is saying, I want Mayor Mitchell to come and talk to the people. And so Cliff was saying, well, yes, because, the bloggers on both sides, they're not afraid to lie. And Rhoda was saying, yeah, that's true, but it's, kind of sad because you don't need to do that, from either side. And I guess that segued into Rhoda saying, I have come under personal attacks, and we have paused there. But from my perspective, it is definitely important to be fair in whatever you're doing. As I always say here, it's about Jamaica first. And sometimes I don't bother to touch on political issues because I understand that some people they will never see Jamaica first. It's always orange or green. And again, we keep it fair as best as we can. People will tend to have their own subjectivity, right? And that's why we have different perspectives here. It doesn't matter if you're orange or green, just share in a respectful way. But, at some point, as Jamaicans, we need to put Jamaica first. And so, again, we're not here to tear down anyone, to belittle anyone, and, we can talk in a good way, right? Without, defaming people. And that is important. So here, as a platform, we maintain our safe space and we try to do whatever we're doing in a responsible way, right? And so where we can learn from each other, because I learned from you guys there in the chat. And that is important, right? We can talk about issues. If we want to criticize the Prime Minister, we can do that in a respectful way. He is not immune to criticism. If we want to criticize the opposition leader, we can do that in a respectful way. He is not immune to criticism either, because at the end of the day, we should want the best for our country. Run over to you.
Yes, Natasha, I agree with you totally there. We want it to be a safe space, and it should be Jamaica first. Jamaica is Jamaica land we love is what we all have we just have that connection to it, and we want the best for it, regardless of the color of the political leadership. So we want to make sure that all citizens are getting the best opportunity that is possible so that they can do their best as well. We don't want the system to be failing them because of any other reason. But we will continue to build this platform on those grounds where we respect other person's views, and we do things respectfully. So as they would always say, respect begets respect. So give respect and you will get respect in return. Naturally, back over to you.
Okay, wonderful. I guess that was just the social media part. If you're just tuning in, welcome, welcome, guys. We can do better with the likes. So close that X and hit the thumbs up button as we continue with this conversation. So hit the subscription button, turn on your post notification. I can see he's there. Errol, welcome, welcome, Errol, and good evening to you. Slick Star, I see your comment there. Tribal politics is the worst. All right, and again, guys, please, share, hit the subscription button. We can definitely do that. And Ruran, were you coming in to say something?
Yes, Natasha, I just want to add this. I remember, the last part of the clip that you played just now. I didn't touch on it, and I think it is really important where Rhoda said that she does not Cliff alluded to the fact that the vloggers and bloggers, they put out lies, and she said that she's not condoning any of those, regardless of the associations that they might have with the political parties. And just to add to that, sometimes these people who put forward information, they don't have the full in terms of the information that's available. Meaning you might get a section of a particular context. This interview lasted for a few minutes, but a person might just take out a second or two out of it, and place the focus there, which can be misrepresent what was said in a given context. And a lot of times we get information in that way, and it it influences the way how you view and perceive a particular situation. So it's good that we're going through the full interview here with Rhoda as well, because a lot of persons, I think, are who are out there, are of the view that she called to talk about other issues apart from what was happening,
Ward
in
Avenue.
her constituents
Exactly.
and Ward Avenue.
For sure. I really like that you brought that clearly into this perspective here, Ruren. All right. So let's continue with hearing this conversation.
I see
I
some of
wake
them.
up and I see some wild accusations, Cliff, I don't want to really get out there and say certain things now, but at the right time, I will share. But what I want to encourage other young people who are out there, still do not be deterred by the negativity and what you see happening, because it's good people with good intentions. Step aside and Jamaica is doomed. Cliff, it is because of my love for my people and my love for my country why I'm sticking this out and I'm fighting hard. I don't know if in recent time any other young individual have come under the kinds of attacks that I have come under. And why? I came in, young person, from a poor family, sold in the market with my mother to help to get a good education, have my master's degree, doing my PhD, which I've had to put on hold because of how immersed I am in this politics. I got out there. Every resource that I have gotten, I go out there and I and spend it on the people. When we don't get enough from CDF, I reach out to ministers, I reach out to private sector, and instead of applaud the effort of the young member of parliament and aspire to some of the members of parliament and some of those in the political arena are guilty of it too. So
All right, Ruren. So here I guess this is where the venting started from Rhoda in the context of what triggered this, I want to say, appears to be when Cliff Hughes brought up the fact that the bloggers, they're spreading lies, and that was the trigger. From what I am listening to and what I've heard, that was the trigger. And then Rhoda started to talk about, the attacks that she pretty much, is encountering. And at one point, she said, she was going to talk, at the right time. But then she continued, talk about, coming from a humble beginning, being able to, I guess, work hard, complete a master's, doing a PhD that she has to put on hold in terms of serving the people, just trying to ensure that she's doing whatever she can to ensure that, her constituency is doing okay. So let me come to you to hear, from you in this context, what are your views so far on this aspect of the conversation?
Yes, Natasha Lee, I agree with you as it relates to the misinformation that was not might have been placed out there on social media. That would definitely be the trigger for her. and she started talking about other stuff for sure. But one thing I noticed that she said she mentioned her humble beginnings, and I think that's something that is deeply entrenched in her, and that's why she has decided that she is going to take care of the people, because she obviously has remembered where she is coming from. I don't know how many persons have ever been to the market. I have been to the market a few times with my mom as well, because we were poor, and my mom is a farmer. So, that's something that we have done, where you have to go to the market, on occasions. So, the fact that she's remembered where she's coming from, and, she has risen above that level, and she has decided that, yes, I am going to do this for the people. And that's really admirable that she could, put off her studies for a bit to ensure that she is doing what's best for her constituents. And the fact that she said that whatever money she gets, she spends it, and she goes out and seek other money to cover other projects. That is, if that is the case, which I do believe, that's really admirable from her as a member of parliament. Back over to you, Natasha.
All right, so let us continue. So far, she's now talking about, attacks, that she is encountering, and let us go and try to hear some more.
So instead of emulate then what is good, you have people that start off with a rumor, oh, how is Rhoda able to do so much work? She must be getting more money. And then now they keep adding to it. Oh, she must be involved with the Prime Minister. That's why she getting more money. These things are heartbreaking. You have families involved, you have people involved.
All right, Rurian, I guess this was a big hit that Cliff Hughes was not prepared for. So, Rhoda is continuing here, and the question is, how is Rhoda able to do so much work, right? She must be getting more money, or she must be involved with the Prime Minister. Let me hear from you.
Well, persons will definitely try to uh, put things into place to make sure that their story seem authentic and true. You know, I don't know where she got her monies from, but if you listen to what she said, she said that she spent all the money, she goes to the ministers, and she also talked to the private sector. And just to go back to some of the things that she said earlier in the interview, she is always in dialogue with the people, and she knows exactly what they want, so that's what she goes after. And I also said earlier too that she has that deep connection with the people at the
Business
lowest level,
community. Okay.
and they definitely she has made some good connections there. But sadly, as she said, it's sad that when she is doing these things, you know, if she's doing something good, and this is what I want to leave with the viewers and listeners today. If you are in the same profession, the same lines, you have the same skills, and somebody is doing something well, why not try to find out, ask the question, what are you doing, how is this going, how did you do that, so that you can also improve your craft. The fact that persons have taken it outside of that scope, it's not a case that she had said something and say, all right, this is what I am doing, and I got the monies through these channels. The fact that persons are constructing that, and if this is true, then it's really sad that persons, and persons at a particular level as well, because she said that other members of parliament have started certain
All right,
certain
let us
things as
go. Let
well.
us continue the recording, Uriel, and see what else we get. I'm not too sure we get there, but let so that we're aligned with the persons in the chat. So let us continue. So if you're just tuning in, Rhoda kind of started to spill now a bit in terms of the persons are asking, how is she able to do so much in terms of work? She must get more money or she must involve with the prime minister. So, and I guess when you think of the context of that constituency and the fact that you had a Peter Bunting and a Rhoda can come and knock out a Peter Bunting, I guess that's a big deal, guys. That's a big deal if you understand the history around Central Manchester. So let us just continue. So at this point in the conversation, we're not hearing anything from Cliff Hughes. All right. So this seemed like a big surprise. Like he wasn't expecting this. So let's continue.
The latest I see now, Cliff, on social media is that I got pregnant for Prime Minister and did an abortion. Those things are hurtful. Those things are sickening. And then you have others, Cliff, that take it and they run with it and they put this out there and they don't have any consideration for how these things hurt people and their family. Just last night, I saw another situation with Minister Vaz where he made a statement about the temporary ban on the ride sharing until we are able to put certain regulations in place. And I see a youngster responded to say, and I mean, I don't want to go further into it, but discussions have been had where the young man is very apologetic about what he did. And
All right, so Rhoda went a bit further here to share that based on the rumors going around, it was also said that she was pregnant and did an abortion and she's just venting. Still here, Cliff Hughes was silent, not hearing Cliff. So again, another shocker here. And she continued to share that, and I guess in the context of social media and how some people are not using it responsibly where after Minister Vaz, I kind of cut that part out because I do not want to repeat the offensive comment. She said it, but once you know about defamation, then certain things you leave alone. All right, so I kind of cut that out in terms of what the person said about Darrell Vaz. And then as as Rhoda mentioned, I can say that young man has apologized publicly and that apology was accepted. I believe they shared some mutual family members. So that's Vaz and the young man. But back to Rhoda here, Rory, and let me hear from you.
Yeah, Rhoda still venting, and sharing some of what's happening. And it's sad that the information that is out there, that got out into the public sphere is possibly not true. So let's continue to listen to see what else she shares.
All right, wonderful. Welcome, welcome, guys. If we're just tuning in, we can do better with the likes. So just close the X, touch the thumbs up button, hit the subscription button, turn on your post notification, and welcome to the safe space. If this is your first time here, we keep it, respectful. So everyone, you feel valued in this space and you have a sense of belonging here. All right, so let's continue.
and we need to be careful and mindful. You're real people, and some people might wonder, why haven't I gone the route of lawsuit yet? When I saw them emerging around the time of the local election, I contemplated it. I did seek some legal advice, but you know what I said to myself, Cliff? I said, I will suffer. I am willing to suffer and push through this because I know that there's no truth to it. Because if I was to come out and put forward a lawsuit, in my mind, I'm saying, it would move it from the gossip channels to mainstream media. And I didn't want that for it to become a distraction.
All right, Ruren, do you want to take this first?
Sure, she's sharing that she has been dealing with a lot and, could have considered, well, she considered, going legal with it. But, she again took herself out of the picture and, put her party first. And that's another thing that's admirable with her. Back over to you.
Yeah, and she's still venting. Cliff Hughes is still silent. And if you understand, and so Rhoda is still sharing her truth. And, as people, we need to respect that. It's her truth. And if somebody else has something to share, give them the space to share their truth. All right. And so, in this context, Rhoda is sharing, and as Ruran mentioned, she thought about, going the legal route, but she did not want what she called, those rumors to move from gossip channels to mainstream media to give more, and especially at the time in terms of being a distraction with the elections and so forth. But something that, kind of stuck with me is the fact that she mentions, we are real people. So I like in that I am a real person. I have feelings, I go through stuff, real lives are being affected, families are being affected. And so you can imagine if this rumor going around that she's involved with the prime minister, and we know the prime minister has his family, there must be some discomfort, and in terms of relationships and strain, and even with Rhoda's personal life. So I feel, Ruren, and I don't know if you get that sense that she has taken this so much, and it reaches to the point where she's just venting. And the trigger just came from at the initial, somewhere there's a conversation earlier in the conversation when Cliff Hughes talked about, bloggers who are lying on both sides. And that was the thing that squeezed, because think about a sponge. When you put it in water, it just keeps absorbing, right? But you see, as soon as you kind of squeeze it, it starts to let out. And so that was what kind of happened here, based on what I am, analyzing so far, because, Cliff Hughes kind of squeezed just by saying that, bloggers, they lie, they lie. And so again, emphasizing, guys, that we need to use our platforms responsibly. Use it in a responsible way. There's something called defamation, and the only defense to defamation is the truth. So if you don't have the truth, that's the full defense there for defamation. Unless whatever you're putting out, as so it go, then you know there's something there called defamation. So, in that context, again, we're talking about Rhoda's truth. Unless we hear somebody else coming forward to say whatever, this is her truth, and we want to respect her in the sense that she's sharing. And sometimes as people think about your own lives, your own situation, it might be job related. Sometimes you go and you have a frustrating boss, and you did it, and you try your best, and you go up, you wake up early, you show up, you try to do your best, your work, but this boss not stop nag the hell out of you till one day you just explode because they just cannot take it anymore. It's just like even in a relationship. You might be in a relationship and, things are not going away. Perhaps you're being emotionally abused and you just there till you just can't take it anymore. You reach your breaking point. And sometimes we just have to give persons the space to let out and let be. And I am not going to say this should not be the medium, but let us just continue with this conversation. Are you ready to move on, Ruren? Guys, welcome, welcome, welcome.
For sure.
Soldier, I
Yeah.
see him in the chat there. And Soldier said, I need 50 more likes in 20 minutes. Yes, guys, we can do better with the likes and the subscription. All right, so let us continue here.
On to hurt the rest of candidates and to hurt the party. So I suffered through it, I battled through it, still suffering through it, because my reputation has taken a hit for it. And why? Because I decide that I'm not sharing my personal life. I don't believe I reserve the right as much as I'm a public citizen. I don't need to be sharing certain things on social media if I don't want to. I don't need to be sharing my personal life to say who I'm dating or if I'm in a relationship or if I have children of my own. And in the absence of that, persons came out. Cliff, where this rumor originated to. Back when President Kagame came here, I'm not afraid to say it. It's my story. I can tell it. I was battling with fibers. And so my belly had a little bulge. And one parliamentarian from the other side made a laugh and said, look like Rhoda is pregnant. And that is where it just spiral from there.
What?
Yes, sure, and perhaps the first time in a little bit we're hearing confused with a what, and this part is very sad. And when you listen to Rhoda, you hear the pain, and she mentions it. She has been suffering through it, still suffering, and she feels that it's her decision if she wants to share about her personal life on social media. And it reached to the point now where she mentioned she had to get real personal just to show you to how far these people have gone in the context of sharing about she having fibroids. So I don't know, like, perhaps because I'm a female, I am relating, because when it gets to that point, it's as if she just cannot take it anymore, because this is her health information now that she has put out into the public sphere. And if you cannot understand that this person, it's not just politics now, she's just being a human being. It has gotten to this point. So, in terms of the bulge, and somebody she mentioned on the other side mentioned that, she was, I guess, pregnant. So let me come over to you, Rurian, to hear what you have to say.
Yes, a very sad part of the interview. And, the thing is this too. If she's pregnant, I'm sure she's of the age and she's able to make her own decisions. And that should not be the concern of anyone else. She would know exactly how to deal with that. And, certain things should not, happen in that professional sphere where, her personal business or health business should be, held sacred by her unless she chooses to divulge that information. And, it's sad to that also added a layer where persons have, started to spread propaganda as it relates to her in that way. And also the fact that she has to choose this medium or she has chosen this medium to come forward to clarify, some of these things that have been circulating about her. So, it's sad on many different levels. And, it's something that we need to be mindful of as it relates to other persons, business that we let it be. If we don't know and we think something, then we need to keep that to ourselves unless, that person shared some information with us. Because the truth is, who, if she's pregnant and who is she's pregnant to, how would you know? If you ask yourself that question, how would you know who she's pregnant for? If she is pregnant or if she's pregnant. Like a lot of speculating has taken place there. And, in a case, as she's sharing her truth here, she's saying that it wasn't anything along that line. So persons had it that she was pregnant, associated that with the PM, and, that started something that, might not have even happened or is not the truth. And obviously, that's what she's saying. This is not the truth based on her, what she's sharing here with Hughes. And, as you mentioned, Cliff is taking a back seat and allowing her to vent. As you mentioned, Natasha Lee, sometimes persons just need a listening ear. And, Cliff is doing a great job at that. Back over to you.
Yeah, this is a lot, and for I guess one person, a young female, to be going through in kind of a male dominated space for the most part when you think about parliament, and so give her room, and think about how many other women in parliament might have gone through similar stuff, and I'm not going to go to that particular situation, so let's just leave it alone. But just even now, or not just parliament, women in general, in different positions, certain times when you see women moving up the ladder, you hear these kind of rumors that it must be because they're doing this or they're doing that. And it's just hard when persons cannot fathom that someone with good work ethics can get a promotion in that sense. So again, it's a very unfortunate that it came to the point where she had to share, the fact that she has, fibroids. And so that part, very heart wrenching, and it's unfortunate, but Ruran, she I guess she needed this space. It's like therapy, a listening ear. And Cliff, I guess he was just shocked, and he was just allowing Rhoda to vent because he did not ask Rhoda any question about this. It was just one trigger that I pointed out that from my analysis and our analysis here so far that led to this, venting. All right, so let's continue listening here.
It just spiraled from there. And I've chosen to ignore and just immerse myself in the work because while this is happening, the work of the people must go on, and I'm not going to allow any bullies or anyone to weaken me or to try to break my spirit. If I could go to bed hungry, many nights when my mother didn't have anything to feed me and she had to tell me to lie down flat on your belly and go to your bed, and I go to school to do my exam with just my taxi fare, and I will live in this one bedroom with board and zinc, and I watch my mother fan a fire to make some porridge. And when we move to Tulsa Road and I'm in primary school, I see my mother lift up the market bag on her shoulders and go down to Santa Cruz and running from the metro man. And even when her blood pressure high, she out there. They can't break me. They're never going to break me. These things
All right, Ruren, coming over to you. They can't break me. Those are the words coming from Rhoda at this point, and she's sharing, you know, things that she has gone through. So I guess she's saying here, I'm resilient. You're not going to break me. She's not going to give in to any bully, to anybody. And let me hear from you.
Yeah, for sure. She's alluding to that. She's sharing that, yes, I've had my adverse situations, but these adverse situations have made me stronger. And, she's just saying that this is just going to be another one to the collection. And, the part that I liked about it, she said, well, these things were happening, I immersed myself into working for the people. As they would say, heights of great men reach and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but while their companions slept, I guess she was toiling. So she kept on working, and I'm sure she's going to see the great reward for the work that she's doing. And and also the persons who are spreading those propaganda, they are going to get their just a reward as well, I believe. So it's good that she's finding that strength, that inner strength to push on, and that's what I'm loving about this section of the interview. Back over to you.
All right, wonderful, wonderful, guys. Welcome, welcome. Please remember to hit the like button, the share button, and the subscription button. We can do better with the likes. So just close the X and hit the like button. So, yes, Rorian perfectly said there, as you mentioned, she's not going to let this, break her. She has gone through so much, and she's here, and she sounds like I'm a fighter. I'm going to continue fighting this.
are making me stronger, and I am going to work, and work some more. Because
So you
while
have been
I am
carrying a lot.
naysayers,
You have been carrying
yes,
a lot.
it is a lot, Cliff. It is a lot. And I decide, one day I'll tell some more of the story. But there are also other Cliff, I'm not afraid to say it. They're threatened by the possibilities of how far I can reach in the politics and what I can.
All right, Ruren, do you want to take this one? So she's going to work some more, and we hear Cliff now, interjecting here. So you have been carrying a lot, and she said yes, and she's still saying here, there is more to share, and she's suspecting here that a big part of this is the fact that they're seeing that how far she can go in the politics. So let me hear from you.
Not necessarily, yes, she admitted that she's carrying a lot, but that statement that you just ended with, that they know that she can go a far way in this, that meaning in the politics, that's a strong statement. And the fact that she said they, I'm not sure. And I'm going to put this out there to the public as well. The fact that she said they, is she talking about persons on her side, or persons on the other side, or persons on both sides when she says they know how far she can reach? Because we know how politics is. It's you're going to be competing with persons from the other party and also person in your party for certain positions. And if you are,
Right.
on a track to get certain position, then persons might try to put potholes and barriers in your way. So that's a strong statement. And, as you alluded to, that there is more to share. And I'm not sure when she's going to call what Cliff Hughes, or she's going to choose another platform. All right.
Well, it's Rhoda's truth, and that's her truth, and we're just kind of analyzing this conversation. And I like how you kind of keyed in on the word they, because as you rightly said, it could be from internal within the JLP, or external in the sense that she's going to go far because they see that she's going to go far. And so, in that context, it could be, a struggle too from the inside as well as a struggle from the outside, because she's young and she's emphasizing that she's working hard, working. And so, in that context, I guess she has a bright political future. You can get out a Peter Bunting, and a Peter Bunting has decided not to run back in Manchester Central. So that tells you a lot there. And so I like how you kind of keyed in on that, and so welcome again, guys, and let's continue with this
And
conversation.
achieve. And so they enjoy these attacks because people can't attack my work. They can't attack my integrity. Right? My name is not being called up in anything else. So they figure, all right, what should we try and use? And it's very unfortunate, Cliff. If you talk to some more of the other young MPs who are females, they too are dismayed by some of the negativities and the unfair attacks. But guess what, Cliff? If we give up now, if we turn in the towel, Jamaica is going to suffer for it. Because this person's
All right, Rurian, back over to you. All right, so Rurian, are you here?
Yes, I'm here, not necessarily. Yeah, Rhoda sharing that she's not going to give up. And, it's just underscore the fact that she is a fighter and somebody who is going to take this, you know, to the end. So, really loving her spirit. Despite all that has been happening, she decided that she's going to continue to fight on. Over to you.
Yeah, so I guess that is a part, she's venting, but still within that, finding some strength to continue. And she highlighted the fact that they enjoy coming with these attacks, because they're not able to attack our work, our integrity. So I guess they're going for her reputation, and so that for her is the sad part, because she's saying, I don't mix up in anything. Nobody can, I guess, call her name to say she thief anything. In terms of integrity, she's working. So the only thing that persons could possibly come with was to try, the attack there on her reputation. So let's continue listening here.
Have been fair and have been doing their assessment. This crop of young MPs and under the leadership of our Prime Minister and the hardworking ministers and state ministers that we have been focusing on work. We have been focusing on economic advancement. If you notice, too, the PNPs, they were out there for months and years, and they're just talking, and saying all sorts of things. And we had been quiet. We weren't paying any attention to that. We were focused on the work, but we're now realizing that sometimes when you keep quiet and you say nothing, it is interpreted by some that it is consent or that it is true, when that is not.
All right, Ruren. So here, pretty much, she's saying, the big part of this, aspect of the conversation is that things are going around, and some people are of the view that, when you say nothing, it's like the truth. And, so some at points you have to come and, set the record straight. Let me hear from you, Ruren.
Yes, for sure. And I understand what she's alluding to in that regard. Sometimes when you're not speaking up, persons, try to create your voice for you or try to take away your voice in another sense, you know. And it's good that she's able to find that strength to come out and speak. And that's good. But persons should not get to that place where they're going to be not treating persons in a nice or in a good way. It's really unbecoming of people like that, but I guess that's the nature of the job as well. Sad to admit, but that's how it is sometimes. Back over to you.
Yeah, I guess politics can be very nasty, very dirty, and as you said, unfortunately, that comes, I guess, with the package. And let's continue here.
Not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
A lot of us, we suffer in silence, and we have to get up and show up and put on our pretty clothes and be out there bearing the burden of thousands. There are thousands of constituents in Manchester Central who are depending on me. So I can't break. I have to stay strong. If I buried my mother and didn't even get the time to mourn, my mother only has two of us. My little brother is in Northern Caribbean University, heading into his final year. And I had to bear all of the burden of making sure she gets a good and decent send off, and to be looking after my little brother because his father doesn't have it. He's a truck driver, and so I have to be looking after him and keep him strong.
Let
And
me ask you.
Chris,
Let me
when
ask you, Rhoda Moy. We,
All right, before we go to Chris' question, Ruren, I guess she's continued to vent, and especially seeing, all that she has gone through, losing her mom, didn't get the time to mourn because there was so much, in terms of, I guess, supporting, members within our constituency. And so what she's saying, I am suffering. At times we suffer in silence, and sometimes you just have to put on the pretty clothes and show up and do what you have to do as if you're okay. So she's saying, I am not going to break. And I guess she transitioned into talking about her mom not getting the time to mourn. You know, what would you like to share on this part here, Ruren?
I love that she, found time for family, still had time for her constituents and, all of that in such a woeful time when you lost a loved one. I'm happy that she found a way through that difficult time period, and she was still able to check the boxes that are important to her in terms of her constituents, taking care of her brother. But she has showed her strength, and we're not talking about you know she's a pretty young member of parliament, and she's representing herself really really well, I believe. And kudos to her. Back over to you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Garmel, welcome. Up top, welcome. Christopher, welcome. Lynn, guys, I see some comments, but again, we're not about, negativity here. And we're just doing an analysis here of, Rhoda's talk. And, at this point, she's talking in terms of venting and venting some more. And, really at this point, she's pretty much alluding to the fact that, she's suffering in silence, having so much to do in terms of showing up for a constituency and also showing up for her brother because, she has to ensure that her brother is okay, who is attending, university. And, again, it is Rhoda's truth. I just want to emphasize that if somebody else wants to talk about their truth, that is totally okay. Give them the space. She's the one who is feeling, going through whatever, and we're on the outside. So until, that time, give her the space to do that. For sure, someone had asked about Dr. Dawes, and that is another one that we want to talk about too. So stick and stay for that. So ensure that you hit the subscription button, and turn on your post notification. All right, so let us continue here with this conversation.
Without my prompting, you have said a lot. You have said a lot, which seems to suggest to me that this has been building up inside for
Yes.
quite a
It,
while.
it, it, not, it has not been easy to carry this. And you know why it has not been easy? Because I came in this with good intentions. Grew up in the constituency. Grew up in poverty. Have a real authentic Jamaican story. A real authentic Jamaican mother. And I come to make a difference to really serve from the bottom of my heart. And when you see people come out, people who don't even know you, and when, they create stories and they try to do these things to break your spirit. I mean, Cliff, at the end of the day, you're lining up in a contest. For me, you line up, you want to win.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, if you lose, that's okay too. We shouldn't have to think we have to tear down others. We shouldn't have to try to destroy people in the process. And what some of these operatives of the PNP, what I see them doing, Cliff, it is almost as if when they're finished with you, it's not only for you to lose the election, but it's as if it's a serious reputational damage that could possibly prevent you from getting work somewhere else when they.
All right, Ruren. So here she's on it again, talking about, and so I need to bring in Cliff's point. So Cliff kind of came in and said, without any prompting, you shared so much. So this must have been something that has been building up, and she agreed, it has not been easy. She has been carrying this for a little bit. And, she continued to talk, and in the sense where she's now saying here, hey, when you go in terms of to a race, and let's say a race, let's look at an election, you go there to win, but it's okay if you lose, because I guess she's understanding that's a part of the game too. And so you don't need to be bringing down somebody like this. And so what she's saying here, based on what is happening, it's not just wanting to get you out in terms of losing the elections, but also in terms of that reputational damage that will cause you to be out forever, where to the point where you're not able to get a job, even if you after politics, after they kill your political career. And so I'm just hopping over to you, Ruren, to hear, what are your views here.
Yes, it's something that I've talked about before. We need to learn to know how to win and how to lose. And some persons, they're going to try to win at all costs. When I say all costs, it doesn't matter what it takes. They're going to ensure that they're going to win, be it legal or illegal. A win is just a win for them. And the second point that I want to touch on as well is that persons try to get ahead by pushing persons down. So if you're 6 feet tall and you decide that the person beside you is 6 feet tall and you want to show that you're taller by pushing that person down, it doesn't mean that you have improved your situation. It means that you're taking away from the other person. What you're doing is not legal. So what I want, persons need to learn how to lose, that, and understand that yes, losing is an integral part of life. Losing is natural. If whenever you decide to go in some sort of competition, there's going to be possibly two or three outcomes. Either you're going to win, lose, or it's going to be a draw. So that's something that we need to learn to accept. And that's not always the case when it comes on to the politics. Back over to you.
Yeah, I guess the nasty, dirty side of politics. And again, guys, this is Rhoda's truth. Rhoda's truth. And again, let's now continue with this
Do
conversation
these
here.
things to you.
Hmm.
When I see Darrell Bard, I don't know the story. I wasn't around. But when I see what Darrell has had to go through and even know, people who were not a part of Darrell's time or Darrell's generation can be still today accusing Darrell or calling him a break my heart, Cliff.
Hold on
I
for me.
must stop it.
Hold on for me, Rhoda Moy Crawford. She is venting. Yes, she has taken on head on some of the vilest of rumors and smears we see on social media. Yeah? Hold the line first, Miss Crawford. Back. Welcome back. We are hearing from the Member of Parliament for Central Manchester, the JLP's Rhoda Moy Crawford. And she's been venting, bearing her soul about the attacks on her perpetrated in social media by some. She has been very frank. She has spoken about the rumors about her having an intimate relationship with the Prime Minister. Yes, she has categorically denied that this rumor that was also on social media, that she was pregnant for the Prime Minister and had an abortion, that it started when she was having a female problem, well known, fibroids, and was carrying a bump. And a member of parliament from the other side, she says, questioned or remarked to her, Rhoda Moy Crawford,
I'm still here, Cliff.
let me ask you, I've been listening. You notice I've been listening to you. Yes? I want to ask you some questions now. Yeah?
Yes.
Have you ever
All right, before we get to Cliff question, Ruren, what are your views of Cliff, assessment of, the conversation so far? He was saying that, Rhoda has been very frank in terms of addressing head on, some of these rumors. What's your take on Cliff's, position in this conversation?
I tend to agree with Cliff. She really just went into the issues, as he said earlier too, no prompted. She knew that those were things out there that is bothering her, and according to her truth, they are not, the truth that she knows. So she wanted to address them, and she did so pretty well. So I think she was frank and authentic with whatever she said so thus far. And I'm siding with Cliff on this one. What says you?
Well, she has been frank. She has been talking. It's like, when you're talking and you're just not itch, she has been just venting just that. So let us go to Cliff's question here now.
Felt like packing it in and walking away from this.
I have, I have, and as a matter of fact, you know, I don't even know if I should say this, but you know, my mother, even before she passed, because she died suddenly. She
Yes.
she she wasn't ill, and at one point she looked at me with tears in her eyes, and she said, "My daughter, I am reading and seeing these comments. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not seeing them. What I want for you to do, or I would, but it ultimately it's your decision. I would want for you to finish your term well, and get away from this nasty politics." That's what my mother told me. So I've been battling, under my mother's dying wish, or fighting, because Cliff, maybe you should ask me a different way. What has caused me to not step away?
Yeah.
When
Well,
there's so many opportunities, I have opportunities and offers left, right, and center. What has kept me, Cliff? What has caused me to not step away? Cliff, I lived in Manchester Central for 30 odd years, all my life, except from when I came out to enter into college, and when I was working at Hearts and had to be at the head office and living in Kingston, right? And I see the ills in the constituency, and when I look right across Jamaica, Cliff, a lot of the issues are not resolved, not because they couldn't have been, but because we have not always had political representatives at the
let
various
me also
levels
ask you, Miss
who,
Crawford. Let me
who
also
could
ask
I
you.
finish first?
Sure.
Who is committed to Jamaica. And I feel if I give up, I am sending a message to other young people, other young women especially, other people who have a passion for leadership and a passion for service and want to serve their country well. I think we're going to give in and allow persons who don't mean Jamaica well to step forward. And I see a lot of them trying to step forward now, that I hope that to God that the people do not give that opportunity, because by their utterances and their actions, they don't mean Jamaica well. So
All right, Ruren, coming over to you with this part. So Cliff asked the question, why are you still, I guess, in the politics? And, Rhoda was there providing her response. And, she mentioned this part in the context of her, mom seeing, sorry, these comments on, social media. And she mentioned there a part where she was saying that something to this effect that her mom had tears in her eyes, and she was saying finish your term well and I guess leave. So she is saying I've been battling with that dying wish. And then she just kind of say, what, Cliff, perhaps you should not have asked me the question like that, because I am suspecting here that, I definitely have every reason to leave, but perhaps you should have asked me, what has caused me not to step away. So let me hear from you, Ruren.
Oh, nice. That question that Cliff asked, and the new question that she phrased, Miss Crawford there phrased, it speaks volume, and I think that she's pretty much torn, because she knows that her passion is representation, her passion is leadership, and she knows that as she alluded to, she has, been in her constituents all her life, and she knows the ins and outs and the ills as well. So, that's something that, her passion, her great passion is there. Plus, that goes against probably the what her mom would really and truly want. They would align for the first term, I guess, of her, leadership, as her mom said to her, finish your term and move on, get away from, that thing. But, you know, she's going to be torn with this, and I don't know how she'll, deal with this going forward. But, I'm sure she would want to honor her mom, honor her mom's wish. And, on the other hand, I know she's very passionate about, the leadership and representation based on all that she had gone through. And, when you hear her say that, I just immersed myself in my constituents and helping them, you know that she is really passionate about service and, and might probably lead toward that. Back over to you.
All right, wonderful. So let's continue, guys. Welcome, welcome. Please close the X there. Hit the thumbs up button, like, subscribe, share, turn on your post notification. All right. So remember to subscribe, guys, and like. All right, let's continue here.
So I have suffered the hits, and I feel as if I must continue because the politics, if we're really going to transform Jamaica, it needs people like me who are committed to service and just want to see Jamaica in a better place. I don't want Jamaica to become Haiti.
Let me ask you, Miss Crawford, these rumors and nasty comments and insinuations, how have they affected your relationship with your Prime Minister and party leader, Andrew Holness?
Well, what I do notice, because the Prime Minister, he supports all of his it's not just members of Parliament and ministers, but all of the standard bearers. And I mean, the Prime Minister continues to extend himself and to give all of us support. So I wouldn't say, I still would say I still maintain a good relationship with our Prime Minister and party leader. But what I do notice at times, Cliff, and it doesn't matter to me if I'm going to be getting some beating for this when I hang up the phone. But I do realize that sometimes some of my own parliamentary colleagues, they treat me differently. They are some.
All right, let us just pause here just to get this. So the big question here, what is your relationship like with the Prime Minister? And, here Rhoda is saying that, he supports everyone. So it's generally a good relationship. And here now, Rhoda is saying, okay, I'm going to share some more. And I might get a beating for this when I come off the phone. But again, she's telling her truth. She's sharing her truth and she's going to do that. So, Ruran, I just want to hear from you. In like she's talking with so much confidence. Like in a Jamaica, I say, me not care. Me I talk how me feel, and me just not care. All if you are going to beat me, you're not going to shut me up. You're not going to silence me anymore. Enough is enough. I am talking. I am going to talk. And she kind of said, other persons there, they treat her differently. So let me hear from you before we continue.
Yes, Natasha Lee, she speaks with such confidence, and that will add to the authenticity of what she's sharing here. But what she shared is that the relationship that she has with her prime minister is strictly professional, and it is equitable to all the standard bearers in the party. So she's saying that she's not getting any special treatment. She's getting what everybody else is getting. And I think that speaks volume to this conversation that she's having with it.
All right, wonderful. Let's keep going.
Things that I feel I am denied of because of this rumor, or I think because this issue, it doesn't just affect me or the Prime Minister. The wife of the Prime Minister sits in the Parliament. She sits in the Speaker's chair. And Cliff, I'm not afraid to tell you that there are some times that people who have very good relationship with me, they talk to me on the phone, they hang out with me. Sometimes you can see it appears that they are torn, like they don't want to engage me because they don't know if the rumors are true themselves. Probably don't know or not sure, but they don't want to be offensive. So I think some of them are caught in a little limbo, trying to to be careful how they engage me when Mrs. Holness is there or so, because I don't know. But I
All right, so here, she brought in the prime minister's wife, and she says, I'm not afraid to tell you, things are not good with her. She's letting you know I am not afraid to tell you. So she's not here to pretty up anything. And she's saying that she'll have persons, outside of her presence that I'm gathering here, that they will talk on the phone together, if they're in another space, they're good. But once it's like they're with the prime minister's wife, so with Mrs. Holness, it becomes different because, they are not too sure because the rumors are there, and I guess they don't want to offend anyone, seeing that she's the prime minister's wife. So again, here I am not afraid to tell you. Coming over to you, Rory, and let us hear what you have to say here.
Hello, Natasha. This one is all about association. In Jamaica, they say, "Show me a company and tell me who you are," and they tell me who you are. And I think that's what's happening. So she's having some, good interactions with members of her party. But, because of these things that are circulating around, those persons don't want to be, broad brush with those same sort of views, because they're friends, then probably, for example, the prime minister wife will say, oh, well, these two are friends, so they share the same views and beliefs. And, based on the speculations that are happening, so persons, like her as an individual, and talk to her as an individual, but in certain spheres, they're going to distance themselves, one, to protect their own image, and two, that could be a defining point for them in terms of their career if, the prime minister's wife is not, in support of you in certain
So,
regards.
Rory,
It
I'm
could
going
be
to
any.
stop you there. It sounds as if you're just talking about women only. That's how it comes off. So I just want you to let me know if
No,
that's
no, no, no,
what you're
no.
thinking.
It's. I
Okay.
said in terms of if that's where it's coming off, I'm sorry, but I'm just saying in terms of association, that could prevent you from getting to matriculate to higher heights. It doesn't have to be in
Well,
terms of
I don't.
gender.
I guess I would perhaps put a caution there because you don't want it to be because I don't know what Juliet's side of this is. This is just Rhoda's truth, so I don't think it's kind of fair to say if somebody say for example somebody's talking to Rhoda, then based on how you're sharing, it's as if the prime minister's wife could stop their progress. So I don't want it to come off that way, and I don't that's how you want it to come off. It's just that in the context, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, and I guess when it comes down to the type of respect that they would want to show the prime minister's wife, it becomes a little bit uncomfortable. I'm not sure if you have anything else you'd like to share here.
Oh, that's everything. That's everything.
All right, let's just keep going here, getting closer to the end.
sense that and I feel that at times.
Well, let me ask you, have you ever been involved in an intimate moment or relationship affair with the Prime Minister?
No cliff use. Categorically no. I have never.
All right, Ruren, what are your views on this question posed by Cliff Hughes? Do you believe that it was important for him to ask this question? If Rhoda's ever been in a relationship or, had an intimate moment with the prime minister.
I would answer that question yes and no. Yes, meaning just to add clarity to the conversation and to get the stance of Rhoda once more. And I say once more because I'm going to go on the other side. based on what she had shared before, she clearly stated that there has been nothing in terms of that between
Right,
herself
rumors. Right.
and yeah.
And so you said yes and no. What's the other part? Oh, I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get the yes and the no. Okay. Yeah, and in terms of our response, no clip use, categorically no.
Well, that to me is saying that this is no, and I'm underscoring it and I'm putting it in bold. This
Yeah,
has never happened, and she expresses that with such
confident.
confidence. So that's all I have to say about that too. She's answered that question quite competently and confidently.
Yeah, I have find her like throughout the interview so far, she has been very confident, not kind of stuttering, not shaky or trying to elude any question. She has been direct, like even when she's been like she's just going on and she's going to tell it, like I might get a beating for this, but it's like I don't care. I'm going to talk anyways. Like we have been getting that kind of Rhoda from this interview so far. So let's continue here.
Ever. These rumors started from the time that I was in G2K, when I just came fresh from the scene and wanted to enter and to expand. And then some of them started to emerge around the time of the leadership challenge. And then they died down. And then
All right, so here, Ruran, she's saying that I guess where these rumors originated was when she was, coming out of the G2K, I guess fresh, ready to expand and I guess go further into this political, landscape. And so it started there, and with the leadership challenge, they kind of died down, and I guess they come back. Let us hear what she's
and
saying here.
it started to take a different spin. At every level, when they put out something and it doesn't work, they add a new dimension to it and keep adding to it when they realize it's not sticking.
And the matter of your aborted pregnancy, you said you did have an operation, but it had to do with.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't have any operation at all. What I said is that I have been struggling with fibroids.
Yes,
Yes, and so at that point I had a little bulge,
yes,
right? Because I was in the gym and the gym instructor realized that the bulge was still there, and he told me to check to see if it's fibers, because sometimes when you have that lower bulge, it's fibers.
yes.
So I've been doing my treatments for it. So that is when I guess that is when one member of the opposition ran the joke. I don't know if it's a joke or deliberate, to say, "Boy, it looked like Rhoda pregnant," and then it got out there to bloggers that I was pregnant.
Yes.
And then when I share the concern to some of my colleagues on both sides, they say, "Rhoda, leave it alone. That's stupidness." And I said to them, "No, it's not stupidness. They're saying, if you're pregnant, a baby will emerge in 9 months." And I said to them, but if a baby doesn't emerge, they're going to come up with something else. They're going to say, "Oh, she must have aborted the child." And
All right, Rurian, I'm going to ask you to take this part because, again, it's very sad when, a woman has to come and feel that it's necessary to share again their personal health information just to address people, So over to you, Rurian. Let me hear what you have to say about, this part of the conversation.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. It's really sad that she had to, go down into details as it relates to her condition. And my position is pretty much the same, regardless of her situation, that should not be something that is taken as a joke or, brought to public attention in any way or form. So, the member that, did that, with whatever the intention was, it has had some serious repercussions. And I hope that person has, done the necessary stuff to try to make amends for what has happened, based on, his or her utterances.
Yeah, and as you shared earlier, Ruren, like, so what if she's pregnant? Like, how does that become a problem to you? And, that part of it again, it's hard to talk about it because it's just sad when you know that somebody has to just dig for this to say, this is what is happening to me. It's not even that I was pregnant. And if you know about fibroids, and I don't even want to talk about it, and even the effect that it can have, on pregnancy and all of that, then it's just hard to talk about and fathom why, people would want to run with certain stories at certain time. Again, this is Rhoda's truth. So let us just go on here.
Here we are today.
Yes. And how has this affected your communication, your relationship with Mrs. Holness?
Well, I don't, Mrs. Holness. Everyone is just, generally just cordial, but I don't have that. There's no warmth. There's no warmth like you would see the interactions with the other young female members of parliament.
So it's affected it.
I think so. I would say so.
Oh, the relationship is cold. Is it?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
The relationship is cold.
Yes, I would say so. I'm not just with Mrs. Holness as I would have expressed.
Yeah.
I can detect from some
All right, so here specifically regarding, Mrs. Wholeness, what's the relationship like? She started by saying, generally just cordial, but she continued, and again, this is a clear, she says there's no warmth. Like how you see what happens with the other, young women parliamentarians. With her, there's no warmth. And Cliff was like, so you would describe it as being cold? And she said, yes, I would say so. So over to you, Ruri. And again, I get this confidence. Again, I'm not afraid to talk, and I'm just going to talk it as I know it. Let me hear what you have to say, Ruri.
Yeah, with regards to that question that Chief asked and the response that was received, it is totally understandable that, she would not be, all fine and dandy with Miss Crawford. So the Prime Minister's wife wouldn't be all fine and dandy with her. So based on all that has been circulating in the social media and otherwise, then I can understand that the relationship could be classified as being cold. And that is something that is expected. As in Jamaica, they would say wifey and matey, and they won't have that good relationship. And that is what is being put forward here. However, that's something that, Miss Crawford has denied totally. But, because of the rumors that are around, then I totally understand the nature of the relationship.
So, do you think? I don't know because I don't. Based on how how this conversation kind of came up, it wasn't something that was planned. So I'm just going to ask you: do you believe that perhaps she should have had a conversation with Miss Olness, or perhaps she would not have been accommodated? I don't know. I'm just asking the question. Perhaps stick to the first part. Do you believe that perhaps in just thinking back, perhaps it would have been good to kind of initiate a conversation with Miss Solness. So I don't know what are your views, but we understand here that there was just a trigger that caused this, and it just flowed. But let me hear you in the context of that question.
Okay, so that has a lot to do with what is happening currently between them, and it's the kind of vibe too that is presented. if she's not feeling comfortable in any way or form, and just based on what is happening around her, if she deem if she deem it a case where she's saying that it's best for me to keep my distance so that things can go forward, or not to infuse, or get situations a bit heated or deeper, in the sense where, probably based on how she has expressed herself as well, she doesn't want to detract from serving the people of the country. And I could also say that because she knows deep down that this is not happening as well, she is not giving it that much importance. So, on all of those levels, I could see why she would not want to approach, the Prime Minister's wife in terms of having a conversation.
Yeah, I get that. And perhaps too, at some point, I guess she needed to address this publicly, given that, public rumors are going around. But, let us see, let us hear, what comes up next. Let's go back to the script here.
Parliamentarians too. It's
Yes.
almost as if they believe, or I shouldn't say they believe, but they are probably not sure, and so they want to be cautious and careful.
Yes. Yes. And how is this impacting your relationship? Are you in a relationship that it's impacting?
Yes, and I'm in a relationship, and my partner, every time that he sees these things, I mean, the relationship takes a batter, and there's a strain on the relationship as we speak.
Oh.
So, Rurian, I'm just going to come over to you. Cliff asked, are you in a relationship? Talk to me about this part of the conversation. Was that an important question? How does that question add to this conversation in your view?
Please repeat the question, I missed that.
So Cliff Hughes asked whether, if you missed the question, did you get a response?
I missed the response as well.
Okay, so I'll perhaps just speak to this. So Cliff Hughes just asked, are you in a relationship? And I am wondering about that question in the context of how that, add to the conversation. And so one way, perhaps not a question to be asked, but then it kind of gives Rhoda, because initially Rhoda, when she started to vent, she was sharing that, it's her personal life. And she decides, if she shares on social media, if she's in a relationship or not. So here Cliff Hughes kind of, I don't know if you remembered that part, kind of put her on the spot to ask, are you in a relationship? And she answered yes, and shared that, this, whatever is happening right now, or for how long, has been affecting her relationship. And right now, there's a strain on the relationship. So she said, the relationship has been getting a battering. And right now, there's a strain on the relationship. So I'm just going to come over to you, Ryan, in this sense, what is your view here? Is that is that understandable why a relationship would be getting such, battering, or, having that strain? Talk to me.
For sure, that's normal, and that's expected, that that her relationship would take that, that battery, because those things are out there in the public sphere. Your partner, her partner, would not necessarily will be hearing from her that this isn't the truth, but that will not take away from the fact that other things are being mentioned out there, and that might have put a little bit of doubt in the partner's mind. So that is always going to be cause for concern in the relationship. And I think she hit the nail on the head when she said that, yes, it is causing issues in her relationship. And, just to put myself in her position, that would cause problem in a relationship with me as if I were in that situation. So,
If you
yes,
were the partner, like you would not feel comfortable.
not feel comfortable at all in the relationship, knowing
Because
that those
and why would
rumors
you
are
not
circulating.
and why would you not feel comfortable? Because you're looking at the prime minister in the context of power, in the context of Rhoda's position as MP. So if you're going to a political meeting, it means that you're going to meet up with prime minister. What would be the most uncomfortable thing in a situation like that from your perspective?
Well, that's a part of it too, where her work takes her to that person that that the issue is surrounded, and also
Okay.
status as well, where probably as a regular citizen you would not carry that status as the prime minister does. So in that regard.
Okay. All right. So welcome guys if you're just tuning.
Oh, oh, wow. Rhoda Crawford, I can only commiserate and encourage you to keep at the job of being Member of Parliament, and also please complete the PhD.
Yes, I need to. I've not been able to do a lot of work on the thesis on the PhD because I mean, Cliff, if you really want to serve and serve well, this is a full-time job.
It
But I
is.
mean, I'm putting some contingency in place. But the long and short of it, Cliff, I don't want the greater message to be lost in what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we in our
All right, so just here listening to Cliff. So Cliff is saying, I'm expressing, that feeling of sympathy. I just want to encourage you, but at the same time, finish your PhD. And Rhoda is saying, I'm putting the contingencies in place, but as a politician, as a member of parliament, it's a full-time job. But Cliff is saying, finish your PhD. Ruren, I'm going to just want you to key in on those words. Finish your PhD. What are you getting from Cliff here?
Well, I'm thinking that Cliff is saying that just get yourself more, accomplished academically. Make sure that you're representing yourself. You're showing up for yourself as well as how you are showing up for your constituents. So options, as she said, she has lots of opportunities coming her way, and I'm sure with her doctoral studies, then she will have even more, so she'll have more options, and as she'll have more options coming her way.
Yeah, for sure. It's like Cliff is saying, you need to put a contingency plan in place, just in the event that you want to step aside, finish your PhD, because as a young person, there is still so much there beyond politics. All right. And then Rhoda is saying no, Cliff pretty much, sounded like he was going to wrap things, end things here. But Rhoda is saying, Cliff, listen, I don't want us to leave here missing why I came here. So kind of going back to say the reason I came here was for this, but again, just like a sponge, she was triggered and squeezed by Cliff Hughes, just by Cliff Hughes mentioning the bloggers who lie. And, that triggered all of this conversation regarding rumors, about, relationship with Prime Minister and so forth. So let's go to I guess, the final part here of this interview or
pursuit for
conversation.
political power, we need to be kinder to each other. We need to consider that I mean, even though we are public servants, we have feelings too. We have family. We have people who love us and care for us, and these things can affect us too. Not because we know what we're signed up for and we have a strong back. And I still want to encourage other young persons because please, this is not just limited to politics. It's everywhere. Once a woman climbs up on the corporate ladder, the argument is always who is she sleeping with.
Yeah.
And we need to move away from that culture. And I wouldn't want another young person because on a daily basis, Cliff, I could read a message I just got from a young girl yesterday who saw me on the screen in Parliament sitting behind Darrell, and she said, "My MP, I'm watching you. I'm so proud of you. You're my idol. You're my role model." And Cliff, I wouldn't want other little girls who are looking on to be deterred by what they're seeing. And I don't want the people or the country to suffer when good politicians, people with good intentions, just pack up their bags and walk away from this. I don't think it is fair because all of us involved in this rumor have taken a hit. I am sure Mrs. Holness has taken a hit. I'm sure the Prime Minister himself has taken a hit.
Yeah.
Ren, over to you. Talk to me.
Yes, some profound statements there by, Rhoda. I see her wanting to be that role model for that young lady who, touched her, got her attention, in youth parliament there. And I'm also, happy that she's alluding to the fact that whatever situation, whatever rumors that are out there has affected all parties. And that is something that I'm happy that she has acknowledged. But and in essence too, I'm happy that she was able to get back to the focus of the conversation. But I think she really and truly represented herself well, and she was really frank, and she placed herself in a vulnerable situation or place in order to clarify and to clear up some misconceptions that were out there
Well, we have
in
a
the
little bit.
social
We have
media.
a little bit more to go. So let's do that then.
Right?
Rhoda.
And it's not fair and it's not kind.
Rhoda Moy
You can't
Crawford.
just get up and you know what bothers me the most, Cliff? People who don't know. People, they just see somebody say something and they run with it and they retweet and they reshare with no consideration. Is this true? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But Cliff, it's the age that we're in.
Yes.
It's the age that we're in. But I can assure you that I will be fighting on and I will emerge even stronger. And the people of Manchester Central can be assured that I will continue to deliver excellent representation for as long as they continue to put their confidence in me by way of casting their votes in the ballot boxes whenever elections are called.
Okay.
I'm
Thank you
still
very much.
calling on the Mayor Cliff to give us an update on what's happening with the drain on Ward Avenue.
Well, we have heard from Mayor Donovan Mitchell, and he says he will be coming on to respond.
Okay.
Good. Take care of yourself, Rhoda Moy Crawford.
All right, that's it. That's it. So she went and she came back, and again, the issue that she called about was on Ward Avenue, and now she's kind of saying we still need to hear from the Mayor Mitchell as it relates to what is happening, there, at Ward Avenue because she has done her part, and that was the purpose of this conversation. That's what I'm getting. She came here to tell the people about, that context there in Ward Avenue, having gone through so much to get the work done in terms of the drainage. And then now there's a wall that is blocking that and causing flooding again. So she, and also sharing that she does not have that responsibility because that road does not fall under a portfolio, but nonetheless, she took it on and, see to it that it was completed. They got heavy rains and things were good. and rain again, and there was flooding. And as a result, she got, a team in place, contacted the NWA, I think the fire department, etc. They went, and after, I guess a thorough check, they realized that the wall was the issue. And so that was the purpose of the conversation, to get the mayor in, because the mayor apparently was having, their legal team, I guess, look into this matter in terms of coming to, I guess, a resolution. And so, Rurian, that's pretty much the conversation. So, generally, what is your take on this one in a big and general sense?
Yes, not necessarily. Rhoda came for, to talk about the drain, but she also drained all the information I would think that she could possibly drain about,
Oh my, you said
what's
she can talk
happening.
about the drain. What drain? All right, Ren, you are so amazing. Keep
Yes, so she gave us all the information on all the some on some of the issues that are affecting her, and some of the misconception rumors that are out there. She addressed them in no uncertain way. So, that was pretty much it. And, at the end of it, she wants to have that dialogue. She wants the Mayor Mitchell to come forward and to shed light on this situation as well. And, that's going to be something good to hear what, Mayor Mitchell has to say based on what Rhoda has shared and what is happening as it relates to Ward Avenue.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. So we're going to wrap this one up. So guys, we went through the entire interview or conversation, and kind of broke that down based on our views in the context of Rhoda's truth. And if someone else has their truth, they can share. And that's a part, I guess, a bigger issue, especially when you think about, females who may come forward to share about sexual assault. And sometimes, not saying this is connected to that, but just saying that sometimes we just need to listen to people's truth and give them a listening ear. And, if somebody else should come with their truth, then that's their truth. You give them that listening ear, and you listen as well. All right. So I am seeing in the Jappy. Welcome, welcome, Pauline Johnson Beckett. Welcome. I see Garmel, you're still here. So welcome. So guys, we're pretty much wrapping this one up. Thank you so much for coming here and listening to us, given the nature of this conversation, and because again, we want to use our platform, in a responsible way. We just did this analysis in this particular way. And so, I just want to thank you so much. Please remember to hit the like button, the subscription button, and Rurian and I, we're going to talk about Dr. Dawes in a similar way. So we are going to do some work and just to talk about it. And we are human, and politicians, they have real lives. They are people too. Blood go through their veins, not water. And so it's hard when the politics get, nasty, dirty, to the point where you just don't care about people anymore. You don't care if they live. It's hard to fathom, that part of it. It's dirty, either it's internally or from the other side, and sometimes both. You're getting it internally as well as externally. And so those things are unfortunate. And we're definitely saying here we need to clean it up, because we're talking about Jamaica, land we love. We're talking about Jamaica. So you know we we we're definitely at this point where we just need to think about, how we say things and just be more responsible. If you hear something, you don't necessarily have to repeat it. Check it, fact check it first, before you share or you spread rumors. I often have people just forwarding, and I'm like, I am not into those. Check it. Make sure that, the thing is what you're sending is legit and it's true. Because sometimes you don't know what it will do to other people. Not everybody can just look at something and just figure out, oh, this might be false. They just accept it as being true, real, reality. And so we have a role to play, and there is so much that we can do with our platform in terms of sending positive messages. And yes, you're going to criticize public figures if they're not doing things properly, but do it with respect, and at least when you're criticizing, you have whatever to back it up. Because if you're going to mar someone's reputation, again, then defamation can come into that context. So just to let you know that. But thank you so much for listening to us here. Blessings and love, everyone. We really appreciate you coming over and just to share. So again, Rhoda, she called about you know the drain, and as Ruren would said, she drained other things as well that Cliff Hughes was not expecting. But as I shared, the trigger came when Cliff started to say, and the bloggers, they're so lie. And Rhoda kind of follow up on that, and and Chris mentioned the bloggers from both sides. So let me be fair and to Cliff here, as what we do here, on both sides. And Rhoda was saying yes, and she's saying they don't need to do that. Talk the truth, and then she started to, I guess, vent. Started on a small scale until it kind of blow up. And so that's how we got. So for the persons who are saying that she called, to talk about this, that's not what we are getting based on, what we have heard. And again, you can always go back there if you're just tuned in to just listen to the entire thing here. All right, guys, please remember to take care of yourselves. All right, be kind to each other. All right, be kind to each other. Love and care for each other. And blessings and love. And I will see you in the next live. So please remember to hit the like button, the subscription button, turn on your post notifications, so tap that bell and select all so that you do not miss any updates, and share this channel with someone else, all right? A friend, a family member. Let them know about the Voices in Education. Again, Voices in Education is a safe space where we share and learn from each other. All right? Take care of yourselves and blessings and love. See you in the next live. Bye for now, everyone.